So who are you?
Well, I'm Ryan Donovan. I'm the group program manager for the Commerce Server team. In English, what that means is my team's responsible for product planning, technical strategy, functional design, and we're also doing a lot of work with customers as well too.
Now, what is Commerce Server?
Well, Commerce Server is Microsoft's answer for e-commerce, and it's basically, you can think of it as the business user tools, the IT pro tools, and then the developer tools to build complex multi-channel e-commerce applications.
Now, things like eBay and Amazon aren't running on it, right?
No, those are actually, eBay and Amazon are two interesting beasts. Those are what we call marketplace competitors, where their principal strength is the size of their user community and the fact that they have a captive audience and can pull in lots of small business vendors and actually drive business that way. We view them as really being the types of people that will own the small and medium business market. Where Commerce Server plays is in the upper end of the small and medium business market through the large enterprises. So customers more like Costco wholesale, Harrods, people like that represent our more traditional customers.
Ah, okay. So how would I know I need Commerce Server?
Well, I think it comes down to a build versus buy proposition, and guys, feel free to jump in here.
Yeah, who else is here? I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Mark Townsend. I'm a new program manager on the team.
And
I'm Max Beckbar. I'm also a program manager, and all the stuff that Ryan talked about, I have a small subset of those features.
Okay.
So we're what you call feature PMs.
Great. And how does it compare to the competition? What is the value proposition? Why would somebody go with Microsoft rather than some other solution?
Our core value proposition is that we feel like we can offer customers a piece of software that allows them to get to market faster. So there's a lot less time that you'd have to spend actually developing a custom solution using our platform.
Okay. And is it a browser-based thing? Is it an app? What does it look like when I get it?
Yes, on both accounts.
Actually, all of the above.
Yeah. All of the above.
Yes.
Okay.
No. The way to think about it is a big part of our value proposition is the .NET versus J2 value proposition. The fact that you've got better tool set with Visual Studio.NET, language independence, things like that. You can work with what you know. But on top of that, we're also providing, as well as a development framework for catalog management, inventory management, orders management, and e-marketing management. We're also providing business user applications to actually let the business users maintain the whole solution once it's deployed. So you don't need development, you don't need IT, and as well as the IT pro tools to actually deploy the solution, and then all the tools for management, health monitoring, and other such things.
Right.
Sounds like he's done this a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
I think I could do this in my sleep at this point, or with a major cranial injury. Of course, I actually have done that. So.
Right.
Yeah. So if an MVP was here, what kinds of things would they be talking to you about? Because I have no clue about I don't build Commerce Server systems, and so I'm trying to be a proxy for them. So.
Sure. So what an MVP would ask about is, exactly what you're saying. Why would I use Commerce Server? And so, again, our core value proposition is that we feel like we have the best set of tools and frameworks to quickly deploy e-commerce solutions.
Right.
I mean, just to give you one example, Tommy Hilfiger bought Commerce Server and had it fully deployed running their e-commerce site in 3.5 months from the time they wrote the check.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is a complete mission-critical, 999 availability plus system that's fully integrated with all other ERP systems and running their entire web business for the holiday season.
Wow. So how many transactions can you handle? I mean, what size business Tommy Hilfiger sounds like a pretty big business.
They're actually one of the smaller ones. What we're testing the product to 100,000 orders a day over a 12-hour time period.
Okay.
And with that, we're actually managing to about anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 page impressions per order, because typically we have many more clicks on the e-commerce site to an actual order that gets converted, because actual orders are typically less than 1 to 2%, if even that, of an actual amount of traffic going through an e-commerce site.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because a lot of people use e-commerce as a means of researching a product, and they'll come back and look at it a whole bunch of times before they actually decide to pull the trigger and buy the product.
Yeah.
In other cases, they'll actually research something online and then go to a store and buy it.
Yeah. Does it have anything to do with usability, or do you think people are backing out and not? I
think it's this is actually probably the number one business driver for almost every retailer anywhere, is how to increase conversion and actually get people to click the actual purchase button versus just add to shopping cart, and even then they're trying to drive traffic to actually add to shopping cart versus just surfing the catalog.
Yeah.
And so, there's lots of ways to do that. A lot of it comes down to, vendor reputation, site usability, which is something that's entirely subjective and controlled by the customer, and then also offering, the right level of personalization in the shopping and buying experience.
Right. Are you guys doing research with people to figure out usability and try to offer some best practices to the customers who use your system?
Actually, we are. What we've done with the starter site for Commerce Server 2006, which is basically a package ready-to-go, production-ready website, what we've actually done is taken a lot of the currently accepted usability and design best practices for building an e-commerce website and based the shopping experience on that, so people will be getting that experience out of the box to get up and going with, and then they can then tweak that based on whatever their specific branding or business needs are.
Right. How small a business is good for Commerce Server?
Well, I would say, what most of our customers are typically a couple hundred employees or larger. It's,
Okay.
Basically.
So if I'm a one-guy shop and I just opened a store this morning, I probably am not looking at Commerce Server. I'm probably looking at some other.
You're looking at going to a hosting provider that may be offering Commerce Server. For example, B-Central offers hosted e-commerce packages for small business starting at about $20, $25 a month. That's based on Commerce Server.
Oh, really?
It's our current shipping release, actually.
Okay.
But for the very small, medium businesses, those people are best served by getting a hosted solution, just because the development and infrastructure requirements of running an e-commerce website are pretty complex.
Right.
Whereas, when you start getting up into a couple hundred employees, then it might start to make sense to actually own your own infrastructure end to end, regardless of whether you're hosting it in some place like a Digix or actually running it in your own data center on site.
Okay. Any mistakes you see people make with e-commerce?
Well, lots of them. Actually, that's Mark and Max and I all come from the field, so we've spent the greater part of the last 10 years deploying these types of solutions before coming over to the product team. And there's a lot of common mistakes that people make when building these sites.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, typically you'll see people start out building it themselves, and then when they get into it, they go, oops, when their business needs change and they need to offer some new piece of feature functionality, and realize that they've boxed themselves in by building something that's so specific, so narrow to the point that they're looking at a ground-up re-architecture or a rewrite. The most common business driver we see for that's typically international, like adding a new language support, adding additional currency support, trying to take the site out into other countries. That's one of the more common oops we see. The other one comes down to the amount of tools required to maintain the site. We see a lot of people build something, then they end up having to have the IT involved for every price change or other such things, and so people tend to really underscope the tools piece, and also the deployment piece. If they really want to get high availability, there's a lot of thought and planning, and also operational process that needs to be involved to get triple nines or more of availability out of an e-commerce site, especially when you're trying to do things like change the prices every 5 minutes.
Yeah. Any performance tips? Any architecture tips for people who are getting into this world? Or?
Yes. One, test, and test some more.
Right, and don't underestimate the value of planning. That there's a lot of work that needs to go into planning your architecture, understanding what your requirements are up front, such as your availability, how you want to manage your site. All those really go into determining what your deployment's going to look like.
Right. And probably, I know a few people over at Amazon, and they say the day after Thanksgiving is way bigger than any other day. Mm-hmm. So you probably have to plan for that day, don't you?
Exactly. Typically in the industry, that's called lockdown. So if you get into a period right after, it usually starts in about October, and all the e-commerce sites are typically locked down until about the first week of January. So no changes are allowed. Nothing is considered to happen on the site, and until after that period. So no programming changes, nothing really serious.
Yeah.
And then we typically see our projects pick up in January, and that's our development period.
Do you guys have a load testing component so that you can deploy your application on Commerce Server and then try it out and make sure it'll work on that day after Thanksgiving?
We do.
Yes.
What we do is we've got what we call the performance toolkit, which is a bunch of ACT scripts that you can use to tailor, as well as a mathematical model on how to measure the capacity of your site, then extrapolate that against your planned order volume, and actually see how you're going to measure up and how far short you're going to be using in terms of amount of hardware you have deployed. It's a methodology called transactional cost analysis. So that's something that was actually invented by the Commerce Server team back when it was still the site server team a number of years ago, and it's something that we've carried forward then. And there's no way to just without doing measurements of some kind and knowing your business model, saying, you're going to need 10 servers to run this traffic volume. You actually have to understand the characteristics of the amount of traffic going through your website, and then measure your site based on those operations, put together a usage profile, and then you can accurately predict, how much actual hardware and infrastructure you're going to need.
Right. What are you guys proudest of in terms of the? What would you show another dev inside Commerce Server? What would you be bragging about?
Performance is that's one of my features.
Right.
Security, that's also one of my features.
Now, why do you need to worry about security? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, you don't want anybody to come into your site and start hacking or do cross-site scripting or any of those.
I've heard that
techniques.
recently in the news. What is cross-site scripting?
That's something where you can write a little script that will try to hijack things from your site.
Okay.
I can send like emails and stuff, and with JavaScript in there that'll post and grab your, let's say, cookies and stuff like that. So you can do anything you want.
Oh, really?
Right now with .NET, things have been really improved. Same as IIS. Like back then they had like a URL scan and some other tools that you could lock down your IIS server. But now the technology's improved quite a bit, so you don't have to worry about those things. One of the other things that I would be, very proud would be is when Commerce Server 2002 FP1 came out, we released some really cool tools for management of catalog, marketing. We added something new in the marketing, which was promotion codes, where everybody was asking for that. So they're very, very cool technologies, and it gives you a lot of ability to, send out a promotion code and attract people to your site, so you can, sell more products.
Right.
Yeah.
Are any Microsoft sites running on Commerce Server?
There are some aspects of Microsoft.com that are using it. Obviously, vCentral is still using it, but then again, we're not really in the process of selling stuff directly to customers over the web. So
Right.
they represent some of the more a la carte type scenarios for using specific features or functions of the product. It's something that's really used mostly by our business partners that actually are in the business of doing e-commerce.
Yeah. What's coming? What
Well-
are going to be the challenges for the 2006 Christmas season?
Okay, well,
you think?
we've got Commerce Server 2006 coming out in the first half of next year. This is going to be the most revolutionary release of the product ever, actually, in terms of the amount of code changed and features added or changed since Commerce 2000 shipped back at the end of 2000. So it's going to be a pretty new big deal.
Have you shown this off to customers yet? Is this out?
We have in our TAP program, and the feedback has been really, really positive. And people are really excited about what's coming, because there are two big areas of investment that we've just made a lot better, which is business user tools and IT pro and deployment tools. So we've really just made those feature sets very strong and made a lot of investment there. But the big new thing is what we're calling connected commerce. Most people think of e-commerce as just building the website and you're done. But the problem really doesn't stop there. It's actually much broader, and that's kind of where the state of the e-commerce industry is these days. Is people want to have their websites, but they also want to have that fully integrated and synchronized in near real time with their ERP systems. You've also got retailers that have a brick and mortar channel wanting to integrate that with their stores. So that, for example, if you buy something on the store, it shows up in your order history online, or you can buy something online and then go pick it up in the store and have that all integrated together. You might want to be able to offer some enhanced level of shopping experience in the store, like a kiosk for build to order computers, for example. In fact, CompUSA is using Commerce Server to do that right now. If you don't see a computer from HP Compaq in the store that meets your needs, you can just configure one on the kiosk right there, and that whole configuration order process is actually all done through Commerce Server.
Really?
Yes.
And does it track shipping as well now? Or?
It does. We've done a lot of changes to the order system to allow you to plug in and update status down to the individual line item level of the order and have that being updated constantly.
Wow.
But the big changes we've done to really facilitate this level of integration is by, first of all, taking every core aspect of Commerce Server and making it web service exposed. So the whole product can now be deployed in a service-oriented architecture.
And what kind of web services are you using? REST? Are you using SOAP? Are you using?
We're just using the standard ASP.NET web services.
It's SOAP XML.
SOAP XML.
Right.
Okay, good.
So we're doing that. We're looking at Indigo as a strong future, as a strong part of our future strategy. But what's in 2006 will be SOAP XML. We also have implemented BizTalk 2006 adapters for all of our core subsystems. So if you have a BizTalk connected enterprise, you literally do not need to write any code to actually make it talk to Commerce Server.
Wow.
You can just go in, define your data mappings and your orchestration schedule, and you're done. And these things have all been designed to be multi-point high concurrencies. You can have, for example, like 20 or 30 different catalog feeds, both inbound and outbound, happening at the same time. Same thing with inventory data, same thing with orders data, same thing with customer profile data, so that you can really take Commerce Server and just connect it to whatever you need it to, be it CRM systems, ERP systems, your store chain, external business trading partners. For example, if you want to take a catalog feed and feed that off to a B2B customer, take a punch out through web services inbound to your site. Those are the big things we've done in 2006, and that is something that really no one else is really doing in the packaged e-commerce solution space right now.
Wow. A lot of stuff coming.
Yeah,
Yes.
We're very excited about this
one
product.
of the other cool things I wanted to add on top of what Ryan said, we got the ASP.NET, but there's a lot of people ask that how do we take Commerce Server APIs and use it in a console application or Windows app? So now you can do that with Commerce Server 2006. Basically the same API that you use on the web, you could use in a Windows app. So that's really a cool thing.
Yes, it makes building other types of solutions a lot easier than it used to be.
Yep. Anything else I should know about Commerce Server?
Well, we've got our beta coming up here by the end of the year. That will be the first, chance that pretty much the world at large will get to see the 2006 bits.
And will that be on what, MSDN Universal?
Yeah,
or?
it will.
Okay.
It will.
Very cool. So, and do you have a blog or forums or news groups or?
We do. We actually have a variety of news groups, and then I maintain a blog on MSDN.
Okay.
As well.
Very cool.
Mine's coming soon. It's not online yet.
Cool. What's the URL on yours?
It's blogs.msdn.com/rdonovan. That's RDONOVAN.
Great.
Yeah, and I have actually a got.net website. Got a lot of, about 42 members. 2 of them actually recently added some new tools, cool tools up there. So if you go to got.net and search for Commerce Server 2002 workspace, you'll find my workspace
How
there.
many tools do you have out there now, Max?
We have about 20 now, and I'm going to be adding some more tools up there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for spending a little bit of time explaining the world of Commerce Server to me.
Oh, sure. Thanks, Robert. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Tell all your friends and family.